Today's video is going to be more of an informative one, and so if you're already a 4Runner expert, just bear with me here. If you're not, and you're new to 4Runners and you're not really sure how to engage the four-wheel drive on it, don't feel bad, first of all, because believe it or not, the majority of 4Runner owners have never taken them off-road, so you're not alone. In this video, I'm going to show you how to engage four-wheel drive, when to use the different settings, how to use the center differential lock, and basically everything you need to know about the four-wheel drive system in your 4Runner. My 4Runner that I'm showing you specifically here today, this is a 4th generation 4Runner from 2003 to 2009, and mine is a V8 model. Now, if you have a different model of 4Runner, a different year, different generation, don't worry, I got you. I wrote a whole article on my website that includes tables of how and when to engage the four-wheel drive system on all of the other 4Runners as well. So if you're finding that this video doesn't really apply to yours, don't worry, just check out that link that I put in the description, and I'll take you over to the website, and that should have some answers for you there. So again, mine is a V8 model, and there's a very noticeable difference between the V8 and the V6 4th gen 4Runners, and that is the V8s don't have a two-wheel drive function. They're in four-wheel drive high all the time. This is full-time four-wheel drive, very similar to all-wheel drive. So if you have a V8 model, you basically have two settings here for your four-wheel drive. You have 4 high, and then this is 4 low. Now, with a V6, it's going to have an extra setting here for two-wheel drive. Aside from that extra two-wheel drive setting, everything else is exactly the same. So on a V6, you have two-wheel drive, 4 high, 4 low, and your 4 high in a V6 model is the same as these V8s that are always in 4 high. It's basically like all-wheel drive. So if you have a V8, you're always in 4-wheel drive. You basically you shift to drive, and it's going to figure everything out for you automatically, aside from the gearing change of 4 low. So to shift from two-wheel drive to 4 high in a V6 4Runner, do it on the fly, no big deal. You can be, I believe, as long as you're doing less than 60 miles an hour, you don't have to slow down, you don't have to pop it out of gear or anything. Just flip the switch from 2 high to 4 high and continue on. From this point on, the V6 and the V8 are exactly the same. So now, if you have a V6, you're in 4 high. If you have a V8, you're already in 4 high. Now we're going to talk about how to shift into 4 low. So to engage 4 low on your 4Runner, first of all, we've got to start the engine. You see we have no 4-wheel drive lights on in the dash at all. So remember how I told you that to go from 2-wheel drive to 4 high, you can just flip the switch while you're driving? That's not the case here for 4 low. You can't engage 4 low while you're driving in gear. So if I'm in drive right now, I'm not going to be able to get 4 low to engage because the 4Runner knows that we're in gear. You have to pop it into neutral. You can see we're in neutral. And then you push the dial in and then over like that. And you can see we now have a 4 low light on in the dash right here. Now if that's engaged, there won't be any blinking, no flashing, and there won't be a bell or anything going off. And now we can pop it back into drive. Let's zoom back out. And we're now driving in 4 low. Pop it out. You want to do the same thing in reverse. And we're back out. Pretty simple, right? I'm going to show you what happens if you try to do that while you're in drive. So now I'm not in neutral, I'm in drive. I'm going to try it again. So you hear the beeping and the flashing light. That means that 4 low failed to engage, and it will not engage from this point on. So we'll pop it back out. Now another thing, when you first engage 4 low, you're going to hear a crunching noise that sounds like gears grinding, and it sounds kind of awful, but don't worry, it's perfectly normal. That's just the gears engaging, basically. There's no synchronizers in your transfer case to make that a smooth operation. So it's perfectly normal. There's going to be a crunch noise, and that's totally fine. So don't worry about that. So now I told you it's okay to be driving around in 4 high, even on dry roads if you'd like, because that is more of an all-wheel drive mode where it's going to send power to different wheels. That's okay. What you don't want to do is, I keep banging the camera off my steering wheel, man. You don't want to lock your center differential, which is this button right here. It's got a little X in between two axles. Pressing this button is going to turn all-wheel drive into a legitimate four-wheel drive, where now the transfer case is locked, so you have 50% of the power to the front wheels and 50% to the rear wheels. And if you drive around like this on dry ground, you're going to have a lot of binding. It's not good for your four-wheel drive system. You can really cause some damage by doing that. Now, in order to engage the center differential lock, you can be driving, again, just like going from 2 high to 4 high, you can be driving, I believe, around 50 or 60 miles an hour is probably the maximum. And you just press the button. Not sure if it'll engage while I'm stopped here. So it's just flashing, that means that it's not engaged, but I'm willing to bet if we just, yeah, all I did was put it into neutral and it engaged. You have a VSC off light here as well, which means that now that we're in a legit four-wheel drive mode, we don't need the vehicle stability system. So it cuts that off because we don't want that engaging when we're off-roading and we have wheels slipping and stuff. And then we also have the exact same logo that you saw on this button. So when you see these two lights on, that means you're in full four-wheel drive, locked 50-50 front and back. And this is only for slippery conditions like snow or mud or even just really loose dirt. You do not want to drive on dry ground with this. If you have two-wheel drive and a V6 4Runner, you should be using that as often as possible. It's just going to give you better fuel economy, less wear and tear on everything. If you don't need four-wheel drive, you don't need to use it. 4 high here, you can be driving around on dry ground with that as well. Basically any situation that an all-wheel drive car like a Subaru or something would do really well in, whether it's roads with just like a little bit of snow on them or loose gravel or something like that, it'll figure out where to put the power then, and you don't have to worry about what to lock and what to unlock and when to do it. It'll just figure it out on its own. And it's perfectly fine to drive around on dry ground with that if you want to. It's probably going to hurt your fuel economy, but as long as you don't lock that center differential, you can drive on dry ground with that as well, even if it's just a rainy day or something and you're a little bit concerned about traction. Now as far as 4 low here, that's only for when you're going up or down really steep hills, you need that extra gearing, or even if you're just rock crawling or climbing over obstacles that you want to be moving really slowly and in control. That drops the gearing down by quite a bit, and I'll show you a little demonstration in a second here. But that's only for really, really slow speed off-roading. So our driveway is on a bit of an incline, and normally if I'm just in 4 high like I am right now, if I pop it into gear, it's not going to crawl up this at idle. I'm going to have to give it a little bit of gas to get up. You can see we've got a fence beside us here. So let's just try. I'm going to just pop it into reverse and let's just see if it climbs up on its own. Okay, if my foot is completely off the brake, I don't know if you can see down there. No brake, no gas, and we're sitting completely still, and we are in reverse. So, let's pop it into neutral. Let's engage 4 low. There we go, it's engaged. Let's try that again, the exact same thing, and let's see if we move. Look at that. It crawled right up, no gas at all. So that shows you what 4 low does, and what kind of a difference the gearing makes. So hopefully that answers any questions that you might have about engaging 4-wheel drive on these 4Runners. And if you have any more questions, make sure you comment down below, and I always try to get to those comments as much as I can. And if I don't, I'm willing to bet somebody else will, because we're starting to build a bit of a community here on this channel, and other people might have your back too and be able to help you out with some of the questions that you have. Again, if you have a different model of 4Runner that this one looks a little unfamiliar to you, make sure to check out that article, and that should have some answers for you on how to engage 4-wheel drive and when to use it. Aside from that, I appreciate you guys, and if you enjoyed this video, then make sure you check out my channel and watch some of my other ones. You might see some more that you like. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.